take the floor.
Thank you very much, and let me welcome you all this morning for this 10th edition of this European Space Conference. It's indeed a pleasure to be here, not for the first time, but not even for the 10th. But it's most of all a pleasure to see so many of us here gathered today for something that is indeed very important. Since the beginning, this has been a place for people who believe that Europe is a space power in the making. And today, we already have the second largest budget for space in the world. Our technology and expertise make us a heavyweight on global space markets. And I believe we need to share this awareness in a larger context. Our technology and expertise, I was saying, make us a heavyweight on global space markets, and we will have to keep investing and investing better if we want to be the autonomous and cooperative space power we need to be for our citizens, but also that the world needs us Europeans to be. Since I last came to this conference 1 year ago, we have achieved impressive results. Just before I joined you, we signed a new agreement between the European Space Agency and the EU Satellite Centre. The Satellite Centre, working under my responsibility, contributes to shaping the European Union's foreign and security policy. And I can tell you, I see on my daily life, my daily work, how much this work is crucial to shaping our foreign and security and defense policy. Images from space have helped us intervene in the aftermath of natural disasters, detect oil spills in the ocean, and observe the movements of smugglers of human beings and other things in the desert. When the terrorists of Daesh attacked historic sites in Syria and Iraq, our satellites have contributed not only to assessing the damage, but also to planning for the reconstruction. And we share this work as a world superpower, as the European Union, with our partners in the region and globally. So this is not a luxury toy. This is essential to our own security and to our policy making of our partners. So it is important that the Satellite Centre has an adequate budget, but also better access to images coming from national satellites, from private providers, and of course, from our Copernicus program. Since last January, both Copernicus and Galileo have made impressive progress. 22 Galileo satellites have already been launched, 4 last year, and 4 more are to come this year. Not only our smartphones can connect to Europe's global navigation system, we finally have a European encrypted navigation service, the Galileo Public Regulated Service. This service is much more resilient to any kind of external interference, and it can provide top-class navigation services to our governments, to our civil protection units, to our search and rescue operations. It's a system with immense possibilities, and we have only started to explore its potential. So we must make sure that it gets the financial resources it needs and that we continue to invest in its security. And we must also conclude our negotiations with partners, such as the United States or Norway, that are also keen to access Galileo services. Galileo shows the kind of space power we, the Europeans, can be: innovative, autonomous, and cooperative, the three at the same time. This is something we have achieved together as the European Union, and that no member state alone can achieve in isolation. This is the European Union at its best, putting our strength to the service of our citizens and also of our global partners, doing things together that cannot be done by anyone alone. The same goes for Copernicus, and we have seen it very practically over the last year. Let me make just one recent example. When Hurricane Irma hit the Caribbean, we immediately mobilized Copernicus in support of all the people in need. And I was positively impressed by the very warm thank you that I received any time that I met our partners and interlocutors from the region, from the Caribbean, in these last weeks and months. They're really grateful because we have helped and we had the technology that could allow us to help. Copernicus has probably the best rapid mapping system in the world. This means that in a matter of hours, we could produce accurate maps to assess damage and, most importantly, to plan for the rescue operations. We did this, first of all, for our own European citizens, because we know that everything that happens in the world somehow affects some Europeans in the world. And that was true in the and in the British Virgin Islands. But we also did it for our friends in Haiti, in the Dominican Republic, in Florida. We did it free of charge because we see it as our duty and responsibility as a responsible global power to help our friends in the moment of need. And because the space does not belong to any one country, but to the whole of us as humankind. As you see, there is no contradiction for us between strengthening the European Union as an autonomous space power and, at the same time, investing in global cooperation on space issues. Galileo and Copernicus contribute to making us a global security provider. And I think we need to factor this awareness into our work and thinking much more, considering especially the major steps forward we have made in the sector of European defence over the last year. They contribute to a strong European foreign policy, and they help us take better and swift decisions. So it is also important that we develop an autonomous capacity to protect our satellites. We need our own space surveillance and tracking systems, because we cannot simply rely only on US data. I believe that member states could join forces in a common initiative carried out at European level. Another good example are governmental satellite communications, for instance, for an autonomous and secure transmission with the European Union's embassies in the world. Our citizens and our partners see us as a global point of reference and a security provider, and this is growing by the day. And these capabilities are vital to deliver on our citizens' needs and on our partners' expectations. Good news is that we finally have the tools to join forces and better spend our resources for innovation and development in our space sector. But last year, our work on security and defence, as I said, has taken unprecedented steps forward. And for the first time ever, let me say this, also praising the good work we've done together with Elisabetta Bienkowska, all European Union institutions were doing their part in a true teamwork that has proven to be not only possible, but indeed the key to success. And I believe this is a story to be learned also in other sectors for cooperation. In the sector of defence, as you might have heard, we've set up, as the European Commission, a European Defence Fund, and with 25 member states, we have established the first ever permanent structure cooperation on defence. With these initiatives, we will spend together, we will research together, we will develop new capabilities together, including as a space power. So there's room for you as well to come into this new horizon of the European defence. Our space industry is unique in the world, with its mix of small, medium and large enterprises. And this is great both for quality and for innovation. At the same time, research and industry needs economy of scale and certainty about resources and long-term planning. This is where the European Union shows its added value. And this is where our Defence Fund and our permanent structure cooperation and also the new EU 7-year budget can step in for our shared European interest in space. On top of that, I also believe that European foreign policy must also support the European economy and the European industry. This is what we call the economic diplomacy, and this is what we already do with our embassies, our European Union delegations around the world in 140 countries. We help already our European industry make business in a different environment, in our interest, in the interest of the European citizens, but also in the interest of our international partners that know that in us, in the Europeans, always can find reliable partners. This is also very much true for the space industry. And just an hour ago, I met with CEOs of the space industry and we discussed precisely how to better support the autonomy and competitiveness of our space sector in the world. Because I believe there is no contradiction between autonomy and cooperation. On the contrary, there is no viable alternative to cooperation on space issues, but this requires a strong autonomy from a European perspective. No zone, that is clear, and you know this better than myself. You know that every space power relies to some extent on other space powers. Space markets are truly global by nature, and we must make sure that competition remains free and fair, and that we keep investing at the same time in our own European autonomy, keeping our European cooperative approach. This is our natural role. Let me stress this once again. Being an autonomous and at the same time cooperative space power. And we will continue to invest in a cooperative governance of all space issues. This will be and will continue to be our approach, both at the International Space Exploration Forum in Tokyo in March and at the meeting of the UN Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space in Vienna next June. Space is a global common and it requires global rules. It is something we all share and we all have a responsibility towards it. Space is a responsibility as well as a dream and an ambition. Let me tell you, my daughter was extremely excited about how I was starting the day today. So we have also some emotion to transmit, the imagination of a new frontier that is not new anymore, but still has not only an economic, a security perspective, but also has a lot to pass in terms of probably values when it comes to us Europeans. The world needs a responsible space power, and we can be the space power the world needs. Ambitious, cooperative, innovative, and autonomous. But always seeking cooperation to the benefit of our citizens, of our industry, and of our partners in the world. I thank you very much and wish you very successful 2 days.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Mogherini. This is Bienkowska. Space strategy is your strategy. I'm pleased to give you the floor.